Sub-jungler.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Medios, very popular jungler, and of course, Phoenix One's brand new jungler, at least for the weekend. How are you feeling just being back on the LCS stage?
Well, I always enjoy playing, so I didn't exactly expect to be up here, but I had a good time, and all the people on P1 have been really, really nice to me getting back into it.
And there's been a lot of changes in the jungle this season, but even like this weekend, we had a patch drop right before the LCS start with 7-3 changing up a lot of the junglers. How have you found the jungle meta game, and how was adjusting in a pretty short time for you?
Well, I think that macro-wise, the game's still what I'm pretty familiar with, but I've kind of been taking a break from League, not playing as much, because for 6 years I played it, 12 hours a day or more. So the past few months I've just kind of been chilling, and so I think my mechanics are pretty bad. I was doing a moderate bit of feeding in those games, but it happens. I'm glad we could get the win anyway.
And of course, you do play your old team Cloud9 this weekend as well. You're sticking around at least for this whole weekend. What are your thoughts moving into that match?
I saw FlyQuest play against C9 last weekend. I was like, I want to do that. It looks fun. But no, I mean, C9 looks really, really good now. Still friends with like almost everyone on the team. So it'll be a fun match. I've never had to play against them. Me and Sneaky going at it outside of solo queue. So it should be fun. I'm never going to stop ganking bot.
Well, looking forward to see that. One last thing for you. I know you said you've been streaming a lot recently. I believe you had something special to say to one of your subs.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to BlueShark193. He's the sub who drafted me in fantasy, even though I wasn't planning on playing at all. And I hope I got you some points, dude.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much for the fantasy points. Thank you, Medios, and congratulations on the win today. Back to the analyst desk to wrap out the day.
Blue Shark 193 doing some work, although, as Medios said in his own words, he did a moderate amount of feeding there, though, so I wonder how the points actually worked out for him. But hey, Medios on Phoenix 1 pull out a 2-0 series here. Both games, slight comeback, so of course it's not like it was all sunshine and roses and they're a super dominant team with them in, but they pull out these victories, and they're going to be happy to do that without their starting roster.
Exactly. Because of the fact it's a sub and they still win, they actually do break their 3-match losing streak. This could have been 4. They could have been at 4 and 5 and actually dropped out of that pack where Immortals is now there.
Right.
Echo Fox is now there in the standings. So Phoenix 1 picking up a win against Envy, it does tide them over a little to continue to be in that top half. So with the sub, good job for them. But I also think, like, the team in general, it's not just Medios subbing in. I feel like a lot of these guys actually did well today.
Speaking of moderate feeding, let's take a look at some moderate. Let's take a look at some moderate feeding. 3:30 into the game here, Medios with an ultra patient. This is actually it's a smart play here to suspect that Lyra might come clear his blue side, but it all goes wrong.
We had a little bit of a debate. Is this too much patience or too little?
Right.
Should he have waited a little longer, or should he have not waited this long? There's the fact that the Rengar comes down here.
Literally,
this is smart, though.
If he waited 2 extra seconds, he sees Rengar and he gets to fight him straight up. If he had gone sooner to the Wolves, he just clears the Wolves, leaves, and then Rengar has nothing to clear.
Yeah.
So kind of sitting in that middle ground is what really screwed him over, as well as the rest of his team.
Yeah, also, like, he doesn't have to cocoon there. He can actually just go straight for the blast cone. Then he gets knocked over the wall. And now he's kind of screwed at this point.
Yeah,
like,
this is...
I don't know what's happening
This
now.
is beautiful. Hey, smites for the Scuttle. He actually does a fantastic job of living as long as he can. But really what this does, more than setting Medios behind, it sets the bot lane behind.
Yeah.
Arrow with that death there is now in a rather large deficit that he has to come back from throughout the course of this game.
Yeah, it doesn't have summoners, and then at the same time, it's like, now I'm down 10 CS. Caitlyn comes back with a pickaxe afterwards, has his kill and an assist.
Right.
So he's put behind, and then there's definitely pressure there. But once again, like, Envy, man, like, you guys have a lead. You have, like, summoner spell advantages. You're getting so much out of these guys. Like, oh, my God, they cannot seem to actually
Starting to get frustrating.
a snowball.
Starting to get frustrating, am I
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like,
It's very
it's gotten to this point where you look at a team like Phoenix 1 who has a deficit like that and has the composure to climb back with a sub on their roster, as compared to a team that has been practicing and playing together now for at least 5 weeks, who can't put together a win with large advantages. At a certain point, these advantages aren't just like 300 gold advantages, they're rather large.
And like the stuff they're working with too, even gold advantages, that's fine, and that's something we look at and we go, okay, you should be snowballing from here. But like even team composition, Rengar, Shen, you have double global pressure. Sure, it can be matched by the Gangplank in this game, but the previous game, it's no excuse. You have Rengar as well to try and make plays. They are not making these plays, and that's what's so frustrating about watching Envy is they have the lead, they have the tools, they are not making the plays.
All right, things start to fall apart. 25 minutes into the game, Phoenix 1 makes a 4-for-0 play in the bot lane. This is really what does it for him. Of course, after they secured a Baron, which is what more so evened up the gold.
Yeah, that Baron was crazy, but this fight as well, Seraph comes in a little late, triple taunt, there's no damage left because Ryu had already just used ultimate to push Ninja out. I don't know why his Edge of Night was not on at the beginning of the fight, because that thing should just be on cycle. Keep using it every time you think there's going to be even a fight nearby.
Absolutely. But ultimately, that fight put the nail in the coffin to a degree for Envy, this gold graph. I mean, come on. At 10 minutes, you had a 2.2K gold lead. 2.2K. It doesn't look that big because of the scaling on the graph where it's a 10K gold lead at the end for Phoenix 1. But in all seriousness, 2.2K gold lead at 10 minutes is pretty astronomical.
In terms of percentage of gold, you're looking at like 120% of the enemy team's gold at that point. Like, that is a point where you should be winning the game, snowballing from there, getting the turret, and then running over that team.
All right, but now let's talk about the reasons why Phoenix 1 was able to come back in here. A lot in part due to Zig in the top lane, who will be picking up player game this time around on that Gangplank, which we know he loves. Obviously has increased gold generation because of the passive, but he also outfarmed like a monster. While all that craziness was happening elsewhere on the map, he's throwing his ult to help out and maybe slow things down wave clear, but he was picking up farm left and right.
And that's the thing as well, is like this guy, he's playing the Gangplank. We know that he loves it. A lot of pros have actually complimented his Gangplank and said it's really clean, looks really good on it. But he's also drawing attention. Right? When they got that Baron, it's because Hakuho went bottom with Lyra to try and pick him off, and then the rest of Phoenix 1 were like, we used that opportunity. Even if Zig dies there, they still get the Baron because the pressure that he provided. So that's the really cool thing about him on that Gangplank, dealing most damage in the game, starting the engages with a soft engage tool of the ultimate, and also pulling so much pressure that they had to deal with it.
Yeah, pressure game's so important. I want to look at Phoenix 1 moving forward for this weekend. We, of course, know that they're going to be playing Cloud9. That's a fun little match for Medios, as he mentioned, going up against some of his old former teammates. But with this squad moving into that match against C9, it is an expected loss, I think, by all accounts. Even if Inori were in, it would still be an expected loss based on the standing.
8-0, right?
So my question to you is, what do you want to see out of this makeshift roster here from Phoenix 1 that tells you they're still moving in the right direction without Inori, that this team will be better come week 6 when he's back in?
I actually think like Arrow is playing really consistently, and that's a good check mark. I think that Zig on engages has been doing well as well. I want to see that go a little bit further. He did a really good job in that game with Gangplank, but Ryu is the part for me that is rather inconsistent right now.
Gotcha.
Because Inori was like high highs, low lows, but then Ryu is kind of like high highs, but then his lows could still actually lose them the game, or lose them an advantage too. So if he's able to find a little bit more consistency in that mid lane, that's what I'm looking for from Phoenix 1, and then overall teamwork, right? Because their objective control has been pretty ridiculous with Medios too.
Looking for Ryu at Worlds, not Ryu from the EU LCS, where he struggled with the same inconsistency. I'm only drawing a comparison to say that this is something that's been prevalent.
We want
in his
NA
career
Ryu
in the past. We want NA Ryu, which is hopefully Worlds Ryu. Anyway, let's pull up the standings to see how the teams are stacked up. With their loss, FlyQuest dropped to 3rd place, while Phoenix 1 hold on to 4th. Team Dignitas keep 8th place with their win, while Team Envy still look to snap their losing streak. We'll be back again tomorrow with another full day of action. Our coverage kicks off with Counter Logic Gaming versus Immortals on NA LCS 1. Then TSM hope to dethrone Cloud9 later in the day. Over on NA LCS 2, Team Liquid take on Team Dignitas, with Envy versus Echo Fox shortly after that. So we got a bunch of big matches, of course. C9 TSM's a pretty big one. I'm excited for that. Are you?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Super good.
Do you think C9 is undisputed #1 team in the league? I mean, granted, they haven't lost, so they're looking good. But do you think that TSM has what it takes in 40% of scenarios to beat C9?
40% of scenarios?
Yeah, 60-40. I'm gonna, because I know, I knew if I asked you, could they beat C9? You'd say yes. There's a world in which they beat C9. So I got to give you a tougher question than that.
So if you're saying like if they play a best of 10, 6 games to 4, is that?
Yeah, exactly. Does
I would say
TSM win 4 games?
Current state of Cloud9 versus TSM, I would say that Cloud9 actually would beat them more than 60%. I think Cloud9's cleaner right now macro-wise. I think that overall they have the right parts. Impact is firing on all cylinders. Jensen definitely looks like the best mid laner right now, even over Bjergsen, who's slumping a little bit, and even last week had some of his worst performances. So I think Cloud9 right now look like the kings of NA.
There you have it. TSM's got their work cut out for them. Now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more North American LCS. Good night. Well done, man. It was a really good show.